The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your hosts, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, Nicole Hutchison, and Jess Navarez.
Happy Thursday, Cowboys Nation. Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Aisha Morrison and Jess Navarez. What's good, ladies?
Hello.
I know you tired. We got a celebrity in the house, y'all.
We do.
Please don't make
We got a
us sing.
celebrity
We do.
in the house.
Please
Her
don't
name
make
is
us sing.
Aisha Morrison. Remember the name.
Please.
She was invited, and one of the only women, the only black female in the Jim Nagy Scouting School. Let's just talk about this opportunity that you received. How was that?
No, it was the opportunity of a lifetime, and the way that the school is structured, it's basically for, it's really exclusive to former players. So I was in there with some heavy hitters, some guys I know. Clinton Portis comes to mind, and that's someone that Cowboys fans know very, very well because of his time with the Redskins, now Commanders. He whooped our tails quite a bit on the field.
We don't have to rehash that. We're talking about you, girl.
It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for people who, mostly former players, who are interested in going into scouting. And what Jim and his crew do is basically go through what a scouting department looks like, what you do, how you can advance, just how to write reports and things like that. And so it gave me an opportunity to get a look-see into, something that I desire to do. And also, too, I just feel like it was an opportunity to get better as an evaluator and as an analyst, so I can do this with integrity and do it correctly. So I was very grateful, and being the only woman in the room. But it's the coolest thing is just how it was empowering for me, to be honest, because I think sometimes I can't explain it, but like we're all pretty young at this table, but you still feel like young sometimes. And then when I'm in the room, I'm like, I gotta turn my grown woman on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta step it up. You gotta step it up, And so, and the players were just so much respect for me. So much respect. I mean, just to the basic things of just not touching doors. It's just the respect, overall respect that I got from the players and from Jim and his crew was fantastic. And I drove down to Alabama last minute, and I'm happy that I did so. And I appreciate all the love that I've gotten from the fans and the support, and then you ladies and my friends is caring about me trying to take the next step in my career.
Hey, that's one thing we're going to do is
support.
No,
I wasn't expecting all that.
You feel me? Like,
you've worked your tail off. I almost said a bad word on here for the first time ever. You've worked your tail off for this opportunity, and to actually see you in that picture. If you guys don't know the picture, please go to Twitter. It was all over the place. And you're scanning through, and it's a bunch of men. No hate to any of them, but then you see Aisha.
You gotta look down.
The shorty in the pink, and Congo right in the front. I'm working. I can't look at the camera. But it was just it was so surreal to see you in that position. In my head, I'm thinking our first day coming on the podcast. I don't know if you guys know this. Her and I were struggling that first day. I had to staple her shirt. We were going through it the first day.
We did.
We walk in the Star.
You stapled her shirt?
Yes, we walk in the Star for the first time.
I literally was.
She lost a button.
I lost the button.
And I didn't know her. I did not know this lady. And she's like, my button. I don't know what to do. And I was like, I don't know you. And so I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I have to help you, girl. So that was kind of our first day. So in my head, I'm seeing that version of Aisha where we were literally walking in the building for the first time together to that picture. And I was like, oh my God, she did it. My girl, so freaking proud of you. Proud doesn't even do it. Ugh, I'm going to cry.
And I mean, just me coming here my first season, getting to know you, and you're brilliant. You're one of the most brilliant ladies, more brilliant than a lot of these men. Let's just talk about it. When it comes to this game, I mean, when it comes to this game, and so just seeing you in that picture was awesome. Was there something that you would say was the most memorable experience about that? Or the best experience?
I'll tell you. So the most memorable experience was, and again, I'm not going to go into deep detail, but I will say a lot of the players showed themselves so vulnerable in that room and talked about their stories and what they've been through and just their process in the NFL. And I don't take that lightly because it was locker room type feel. And you know how locker room type feel is. It's like what's in there stays in there. Yeah. And just to hear, you know, about the different people who influenced their lives and stuff like that, I took it as a privilege to be in that room with them and hear some of their deepest, darkest experiences in this game. So it also to put in perspective for me to, you know, I always say that empathy is my superpower. I think it's our superpower as women in this game. And it told me to just keep being empathetic because these players need that. They need that. And that was probably the biggest takeaway that I had. Like the most important part of it is just feeling their intensity and their hurt in some instances and their pain and what it's like for them as they transition out of the NFL. I could really relate to them as a veteran myself and how it's hard to let it go. So
You mean they're human?
Very much so.
Wow.
Very much so.
That's shocking.
That's something that we talk about on this show. It gets lost.
Wow. Yeah.
I think it gets lost in translation when we talk about these players. I'm sure we're going to get into it a little bit later, you know. So, that was my biggest thing is, like, I enjoyed just the overall vulnerability of the players.
Ugh, we love you.
Yeah.
I love you.
So proud of you.
Thank you so much, ladies.
And Congo, shout out to Congo. Was he the first service dog of Jim Nagy's scouting school?
They were, because I hadn't told them that I had a service dog. And so I just walk in and everybody's just like, whoa, like this big. So first of all, they're shocked to see a lady walk in there.
Right.
And then she walks in with this wolfy looking Twilight extra. And
not the wolfy looking.
And they're like, "What is this?" And
This shouldn't say Twilight extra.
he is a Twilight extra.
I'm sick of you.
Look, you leave our nephew alone.
He's precious.
Twilight.
I'm dead. But no, I mean, you talk about empathy. That kind of goes towards, you know, what I want to bring up is the fact that a lot of these guys are still nursing injuries, rehabbing.
Yeah.
You talk about, you know, Luke Schoonmaker, also Digizua. You got a chance to talk to a little bit of those guys. I mean, what's the updates for those guys, Jess?
Yeah, I was working. I was trying to find all of those guys in the locker room. Like, I needed injury updates straight from the source, right? So I talked to a few of them. John Stevens Jr., which you guys know, like, we're very excited to see. He was on the come up training camp last year, preseason, and tight end room looks pretty wide open right now, so I think it's a good time for his return at this point. Absolutely. He said the goal is he should be good by camp. So that's the goal. He told me for him, Trayvon Diggs, and David Durden. He said that them three have been like exclusively working together, and they seem to be pretty much on the same timeline to return by camp. He said he said, I don't want to say too much, but it feels like I'm ahead of schedule. I'm doing really good. There hasn't been any setbacks. So that's what you want to hear in that position. Caught up with CJ Goodwin, which was a good win. You know, I love me some CJ Goodwin. He talked about how he said, I wrote this down. He was talking and I'm like writing, quote, "This is the best I've felt in years." The only thing he was worried about coming off of his pectoral injury wasn't the injury itself. It was his age and not knowing if the Cowboys would want to take another chance on him because he's getting older. But he said he's happy he's back, and he's feeling good. He's also on cue to hopefully, if all goes well and there's no setbacks between now and then, be ready for camp as well. Osa, he's dealing with a little bit of a hip stinger. And he said that the goal is to be back by training camp. However, they do want to play it safe with him. So more than likely, Cowboys fans, do not freak out if he does not play until week 1. You could see a training camp without Osa really involved. That's where the mental reps come in. That's where that's important. So I don't want to cause panic. It's just keep in mind, starters don't play preseason anyways. So that's why I'm not saying preseason. The goal is obviously for sure week 1. just camp, a little muggy right now. Not too sure if you'll see him
how
at
that
camp.
happened. Was it like training and off?
I did get the info, and pretty much what happened is they were at like captains were all practicing together, and he said that he felt like he slept wrong the night before.
Yeah.
And so he said he felt like when he got here, or not here, when he got to his training with the captains, he felt like it was already a little bit tweaked based on how he slept. And then he said like he felt it kind of during that time. So
I need these guys to take their hip
Right.
health seriously.
I said, time to buy a new mattress, my guy. Go talk to Dak about a new mattress.
Shut up,
Talk to Osa, and then talk to Schoon. He seems like he's going to be ready sooner rather than later. And when I say sooner, I'm just going to say keep an eye out for some announcements coming soon. But I will say, he said camp for sure. He was like glowing. He's like, for sure, training camp, for sure. Because keep in mind, he didn't get to participate in training camp last year. So he's excited to finally get to actually have like his full off-season training for training camp. Other than that, that was pretty much all I talked to. Yeah. And the good thing is, overall, to take out of all of this, there's no setbacks, knock on wood, with any of these guys and their injuries. So seems good.
What you got, Nicole?
We're also taking calls. Our number is 1-888-855-2297. That is our call line, 1-888-855-2297.
There we go.
Make sure to call in. We also got a text line, too, y'all. I don't think we used this one before. 1-817-290-3298. 1-817-290-3298. I've got to pose this question, ladies. When we talk about, the preseason, obviously it's a chance for these guys, the younger guys, even the guys who didn't get that much playing time in 2023. It's a chance for them to really prove themselves, right? And when we talk about Oso Odighizuwa, right, we should expect him to be back, possibly, hopefully the latest week 1. Are you confident in that depth when you talk about Chauncey Golston, who, dang, fix your face, I'm sorry. But no, Chauncey Golston, are you confident in that depth when you talk about that?
No, I mean, that regardless is a little concerning for me. And again, we trust Osa and what he thinks of his body. Yeah. He's been very honest with us about if he was dealing with injuries and stuff. So if he says he's going to be back, I think he is. And if it sounds more precautionary anyway.
Exactly.
So, and that's fine. But the lack of depth in that room is a bit concerning at this point. And so I am wondering if the Cowboys will, if that is a thing, I believe that they should be trying to attack, trying to find a veteran on one of these squads, period, which I'm sure the in-house scouts are doing right now. But no, it is concerning. And I honestly thought that Chauncey Golston would have the opportunity to cook more back out to edge. But the few times I've seen him in practices, he is doing a mixture of both still. So, that's probably because they understand the DT depth is compromised. So for me, again, I've been saying this since the draft. I'm going to keep saying it. I think you at least need, losing Jonathan Hankins was huge. Despite the fact that he dealt with injuries and was out, sometime last year, having a sure veteran on this squad would be important, especially with the absence of Oso Odighizuwa possibly during training camp. I don't like it at all.
And not only that, but Mozzie Smith also coming off of injury.
Tracking that.
So you lose another aspect of depth and just knowledge as well to know where he's at exactly. Mozzie, somebody I talked to a lot yesterday, actually. I spent majority of the locker room. You know what? What I got out of it is the first thing I walked up to him and said was like, "Hey, Mozzie, are you okay? How are you?" And I guess I sounded somber when I asked him. He's like, "Why does everyone keep asking me if I'm okay? Like, why are you acting so somber? I'm fine." Like, and so really talking to him, like, yes, there was struggles last year, but it seems like now like he's in a more positive headspace to actually come up and rehab and then also like gain the weight. Because his thing is, he's like, well, what is everyone saying? Like, I don't read the headlines. What's everyone saying? I just kind of keep my laser focus. And I was like, well, the weight aspect of it, that's kind of the biggest conversation. He's like, well, yeah, I'm putting some on. Like, what do you think I'm doing? But I'm also rehabbing from an injury too. So I will say, like, the narrative of him being like down in the dumps, yes, I think that was true to an extent, but it is also true that the news cycle can kind of change, and I think now he has a more positive outlook. I think they have a plan for him, and he agrees with it, and he's on the up and up for it.
That's good to hear.
We've got a call, ladies. Rob out of Rio Grande Valley. Rob, how you doing? What you got for us?
Hey, how you ladies doing this morning?
Hi,
Doing
Rob.
well.
Got one question for you.
Yeah.
When it comes to training camp, where are you going to be doing your podcast from? Dallas, or are you going to be in Oxnard?
That's a great question.
That is a
I
fantastic
don't think
question.
we even know that yet, but it will get done.
I think that's a Derek question.
Derek question. We will ask Derek shortly, hopefully when he gets back from vacation. But we really don't know yet. I think that will be, the announcement will be coming in the next few weeks. So hopefully.
Last year
Well,
we did a mix.
you can tell Derek that one of your fans called in and said that he would be doing all of us fans a disservice if y'all didn't have at least a couple of podcasts from Oxnard.
Oh, thank you. It's so
Thank
nice
you,
of you to
Rob.
say.
That's so
Thank you,
sweet.
Rob.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
Look,
it.
no, let me tell you, I listen to all these podcasts, and you girls, y'all know your football. You sure as hell know your football.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob. Rob, you have a good
Thank you for-
voice. You sound like you have like a TV
Radio,
voice.
yeah. He sounds like he both be doing what we doing.
I know.
That's because I'm 80 years old and I still sing karaoke 4 nights a week.
Wow.
Oh, heck yeah. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Well, right now everybody wants to hear me do Tennessee whiskey.
Oh, that's a good one.
I can hear that.
That's
I can
yeah.
hear that.
You can hear a little
And,
twang.
I drift over into the blues once in a while. I love Etta James. And my favorite of hers that I like to do is I'd Rather Be Blind.
Okay.
Aw.
The switch up.
I know.
We love it.
Versatile.
We love it. We love it.
Rob, thank you so much for calling in. When we know that schedule, we'll make sure to let everybody else know as well. But right now,
Thank y'all for taking my call.
yeah, Rob, thank you. Thanks for calling
Bye,
in.
Rob.
Aw.
All right, ladies.
Sweet.
We got to take our first break, but up next, we're going to be breaking down mini camp happenings, the big storylines, especially CeeDee holding out on his contract. We'll be right back with our first break.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Starts with great gear. Scored the 2024 official training camp headwear collection in stores and online today. Visit a pro shop near you or log on to shop.dallascowboys.com. A Fanatics experience. It's time to get back to a football mentality. There we go.
Shop at the pro shop.
I had to get really dramatic about it. I don't know why you're making that face.
Wasn't expecting that.
Did it make you want to go buy it? Did I convince you to go buy the training camp headwear collection in stores and online
You needed
today?
some music, like do.
Well, I don't want to get copyright. I don't want to get in trouble.
That's crazy.
Next time, I'm gonna give you some backup music.
Thank you. We could do it for the next read after
It'll
the
make
next
it
break.
more intense.
I'm about sick of both of y'all.
I'm sorry.
No, go show up at the pro shop.
Yep.
Somebody's shopping for a new contract though.
Okay.
That was good. That was a
Thanks,
good one.
Jazzy. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb holding out. Obviously missing minicamp, mandatory minicamp, which means that is mandatory. Needs to be here.
Needs to.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
He is looking for his next big contract. Obviously, this 2024 year is the end of his contract. So the leaves have continued to fall around the NFL. Justin Jefferson picking up an $110 million contract over 4 years. He gets $88 million up front, and that's going to be averaging $35 million a year. I mean, guys, I've got to ask. I posed this yesterday as well on the break, but I've got to ask you ladies, how big and how urgent is it for this Cowboys franchise to get this contract done.
Perfect.
Aisha's like,
No, it's draft a player, you
Yeah.
develop a player, they develop into the receiver you think that they are,
They
or that
perform,
you want to be. Pay the player. Stop playing these games. Everybody else around the league, respectfully, CeeDee Lamb has performed better than Justin Jefferson the last couple of years.
Yeah.
He just has. And honestly, they've set themselves up. They've put themselves in a tough spot because he just keep getting better.
yeah.
I mean, he broke records last year, and we already know how important he and Dak's connection is. I mean, they're unstoppable at times. So just for me, I just really cut and dry. I wish I had something more deep to say, but just stop playing. Stop playing around. Get it done. Let him come in. I will say, the only upside is the fact that we get to see some of these younger receivers and see what they're capable of in his absence.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he's the number one. He's going to be the number one. Just pay the baby. Just have mercy. Just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I understand. Like, I don't know. I wonder if is it because of the Dak thing? Is because I know that it's like a trickle down effect, right? Or what do you ladies think about it?
Pay him.
Just pay him. He deserves it. He's
Here's the thing.
earned it.
In terms of like the deals that should get done first logistically, as far as the cap, yes, it should be Dak first, but you need CeeDee here. You need CeeDee to get his money. Like at some point, you're gonna have to pay both prices here. Like, well, I mean, I guess you don't have to, but as far as CeeDee, like
You need to pay him.
you need him. You need him. You didn't sit here and draft him as, oh, this is our future wide receiver one. We didn't go through the entire Amari Cooper drama to get to this point to not pay him. I mean, truly. So I was looking because, keep in mind at this point, because he has skipped mandatory minicamp, he is facing fines. So the first day it was $16,953. So for sure has to pay that.
That's
Second
chump
day,
change.
which
them.
hopefully it gets hopefully it gets his contract, and it really is
know?
chump change. Second day, $33,908. Okay, today was technically the third day of minicamp, and if he misses today, it'll be $50,855. A grand total of, I feel like I'm playing the prices right, $101,716.
Hey, listen, if I'm trying to get $35 million contract, $140 million
doesn't matter.
contract,
You know it's gonna get paid.
I'm giving up $100,000.
That's chump change.
That's chump change.
Yeah.
To
Well,
them.
and
to them.
To them.
To you.
the thing
Emphasis on
is
them.
like, players do this all the time. Players hold out for contracts that they know that they deserve. And what other way to make a statement? Because if he was here, the negotiations wouldn't be speeding up. You're waiting for Justin Jefferson's deal to get done. Guess what? The market was reset. It got done. This is why it should have happened last year if you wanted to get a better deal on CeeDee Lamb. So just pay him.
It's a bad habit.
pay him.
It's a bad habit.
To wait?
I think that this is something that I wish that they would kind of pick up and kind of get with the times. And it's just, we've seen this so many times.
Yeah.
That's why they had to pay Dak so much. He waited.
Yeah.
And they just wait and wait. And I will say, from a player's perspective, I don't know. I haven't heard a player say this, but I know we're human. Why do I have to hold out?
Yeah.
Why do I have to hold out?
Because I've given you what you need.
Yes.
Now I need what I need.
I did my part. I did my part. You put me with CeeDee Lamb. They put him in a tough spot. Like, let's call a spade a spade. They put him in a tough spot by trading away Amari Cooper and was like, hey, be the
Your
number
turn.
one
Have
right now.
Yep.
Like, and he had to deal
With no veteran in the room.
with no veteran.
You're
in
the
room.
veteran now.
They had
Have
to.
fun.
He had to literally
Yep.
take his game to such another level. I just wish that it wasn't this difficult and the business wasn't like this. I really do.
Yeah.
If a player deserves it, you just, because what does that say? Just like with us, this is our job, right? So when you do the work, you're expecting a promotion.
Yeah.
You're
be
expected a
rewarded.
promotion.
Yep.
You're expected to be rewarded. And not only was CeeDee Lamb, this is another thing. He was healthy all season. He didn't miss a single game. There's a lot. It's his commitment. He's showing you his commitment. Ain't no way he wasn't beat up. He was getting tackled a whole bunch. So it's like, come on. Like, you got to meet these guys halfway. You got to meet them halfway.
Yeah.
What you got?
And you talk about what CeeDee brings to the table. Of course, he had a career highs in 2023, but like just looking at the comparisons between Justin Jefferson and the other guys around the league, I mean, you utilize him in so many different ways. I think he's one of the most versatile receivers in this league till this day. I mean, you can use him as coming out of the backfield as a running back.
And
I mean, you look at the numbers.
Outside, talk about
yeah,
it,
rushing average. He had 7.4 rushing yards. That was his average. You look at Justin Jefferson's 2.3. He had 3 rushing touchdowns last year in his career. I'm sorry. Justin Jefferson only had 1. I mean, the way
he was injured. Jefferson was injured a lot of last year.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson is coming in with a rookie quarterback, and they still paid him.
Well, they know they need him. Crazy how that works. When you know you need a guy and you pay him because you know he's a vital part to your potential success. Crazy.
Barnacles, man.
Weird.
Do y'all think, or is there a difference between this holdout and Zach Martin? So I'm gonna go to you. I know you.
Please.
I know
I've
she
been
was ready.
fired
That's
up.
why I was waiting for you.
I've been fired up for this.
You,
All right.
Jess.
Lord.
Soapbox incoming, everybody. All right. So during locker room, Zach Martin obviously touched on a lot of bases. One of the questions that was posed to him was basically that of, hey, when you did your holdout last year for training camp, which again, talking about veteran players that should just get paid. The question is, did you feel like you played your best upon your return? His answer was very vulnerable, very honest. He said, no, I feel like I didn't play my best and at my standard for a little while. And that was taken and kind of spun into, well, now let's take what Zach Martin said because it's Zach Martin, and let's put it into terms of CeeDee Lamb in this holdout. I'm here to tell you, if you agree with this narrative, I'm gonna try to change your mind here, because here's the thing: you cannot compare a 34-year-old veteran guard to a, how old is CeeDee? 26, 27?
A nugget.
A younger,
age, like.
a younger receiver. 2 different positions here, and I'm not saying that one is more important than the other. What I'm saying is, last year Zach Martin was working with an offensive line that was stricken with injuries after another. There was no sense of continuity, cohesiveness within that offensive line. So yeah, really, no matter, new coach too. Thank you, sis. Thank you. Without that kind of connection from that offensive line, anybody was going to struggle popping in there, whether they were there or not. Baby. You didn't have the same guys.
The whole O-line struggled.
They did.
The whole season.
Do we have to remember how?
The whole season.
We don't have to talk about the sacks on deck. We don't have to talk about that.
The whole season.
But the point is, you can't compare that holdout to CeeDee's.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Receivers, yes, they work cohesively, but not like an offensive line. Come on. Like, I was going crazy seeing this on Twitter. CeeDee Lamb, y'all act like he has not been working with Dak Prescott and the receivers all offseason either.
Oh, yeah.
I went around poking yesterday to all the receivers I could find in the locker room to ask, what did you guys do this offseason?
Work.
Every single one of them said, we went to, I'm not going to say where, a specific field and worked together. And I said, how often? Frequently, like multiple times a week, they were on a field working together, taking time out of their off season to go work together. And guess who didn't miss one of those workouts? CeeDee Lamb. According to all of his teammates, he was there. They were all there. So for CeeDee to not be here, I understand the importance of him being here and what you get out of working with the rookies and your teammates. He's been working with this receiver group. He's been working with his quarterback. So again, look, the holdout's going to last as long as the front office doesn't pay him. So if you want him here, give him his money, and here we go.
I think they will. I think they will, but
Probably
when?
Training camp?
Hopefully before.
Yeah.
You need him at training camp. Stop playing games.
Yeah.
Like, y'all don't tick me off. Like, I'm serious. I think they're going to get it done. It would be very confusing if they did not.
I think what's frustrating is you already want to see it have been done to where he didn't have to hold out right now.
And I'm sure he doesn't like holding out.
Yeah.
No.
What do you think, Nicole?
Well, I think it also just goes back to what, Jane Slater out of NFL Network asking that question about a month ago, just saying, why wasn't there a sense of urgency in getting this contract done? Because now you're seeing the numbers around the NFL. you gotta pay him more.
To be honest, I don't think they expected him to have the season that he had. This
you
last
always
season.
expect players.
I agree. I don't
think they expected this much of a successful season. I think they expected. Let's call it what it is. This time last year, did anybody expect CeeDee to have the kind of season that he did? I'm talking record-breaking, just historic season from a wide receiver. Yeah. Like, did anybody expect that? Because at that point, we hadn't seen really that much of CeeDee Lamb as a wide receiver one. What you did see was him amp it up the season before when the OBJ talk started. That's what you started to see, but you didn't see full-fledged, full-force CeeDee Lamb until literally last year. Yeah. So I'm not defending it, but I'm just saying, who expected it?
Now, Bleacher Report, y'all. Speaking of, people are putting together trade packages for CeeDee.
East team swaps.
You're gonna upset me now.
People need counseling, man.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
let me see this.
I'm telling you, they sick.
What's this?
Yeah, I'm like
sick.
It's making my head hurt.
This is
trade packages.
What are we doing?
I'm ready to fight at this point.
What are we doing?
Y'all trying to trade my guy? It's no shame.
It's the same thing as asking Micah, what other team would you play for if you didn't play
But we heard that with even Micah. It's like, where should the Cowboys
also,
4 deals Cowboys would have to
how come
there's
all of these other players around the league right now doing holdouts, and it's just CeeDee Lamb that's getting the spotlight?
It's the star.
Yeah.
You already know.
Oh, I know.
Everything's blown out of proportion and things. It'll get
well,
done.
And if Micah didn't report this week, would have been the exact same thing.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Do y'all think, or what's a number around the ballpark that you guys would pay CeeDee?
How much does Justin Jefferson get paid?
$110 million guaranteed. So that's $35 million a year over 4 years.
Like 37,
35.
38.
Yeah.
It won't be that much more than Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
They're going to try to stay at that middle
It's in that
point.
ballpark.
His agent going to ask, well, when you said
110 guaranteed.
His agent going to ask for 115.
I also think that's when your incentives come in, right? Which is like you get past the divisional round of the playoffs, you're going to get your payday.
Boom, 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 boom.
Like everybody wins at that point, right? So I think you're going to see a lot of incentives in this kind of contract. And to be honest, with the cap space, you kind of have to add those incentives because you just don't have the available money to pay him right off the bat. So I do think it's going to be a very incentivized contract for CeeDee.
All right, well, you talk about everybody wins. Well, so far the Cowboys are winning with Micah Parsons returning back to the star for mini camps. We're going to take a break. We're going to be breaking down that coming up in our next segment.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs. It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
for the 3rd annual Dallas Cowboys Juneteenth celebration presented by Miller Lite. Head to the Miller Lite House at AT&T Stadium on Saturday, June 15th from 3 to 7 p.m. Enjoy live entertainment, shop local Black-owned businesses, and more. For more information on this free event, you can visit AT&TStadium.com/Juneteenth.
Free event. It ain't free to show up at mandatory minicamp. Wait,
I mean, it
to
kind of
not
is.
show up.
It's technically free.
It's not free.
I mean, they're getting.
show
Well,
up.
I don't know.
I was trying there.
It's okay.
It's not free
It's not free to
not show up.
That's why Micah
I was waiting
there.
for the
My
jazzy.
brain can't connect.
I was trying.
Oh, all right.
We can't win them all.
All right. It's okay. Well, Micah Parsons is here, guys.
Him
He's
he
here
is.
for mandatory minicamp. Coach McCarthy, very pleased about that, especially in the press conference. How good does it feel to just have him back? That veteran presence you talk about, the veteran presence you talk about, and how much it's needed when you're talking about these younger guys that need to learn from him.
I'm just glad he's here so people can shut up.
I was about to say.
The truth.
I don't even have a nice way to say it.
No, really.
You know what I'm saying? And
Truly.
guys like, you know, my biggest thing is really monitoring Tyler Guyton and how he's in, because we have to be cognizant of the fact this was a predominantly a right side player. So that transition to left tackle, Micah's gonna make him better. He's either gonna whoop his ass every practice or whatever the case may be. And I think I don't know if Chuma
Chuma's been getting a lot of the
Chuma's
first
been
team
getting
reps.
most of the first team reps and things like that. But you know, I do think when they do start kind of splitting those reps or whatever the case may be, Micah going up against Micah is going to make him better. I remember hearing DeMarcus Lawrence talk about going up against Tyrant, how that made them better. Yeah. So for me, I seen that video.
The video yesterday. Don't want to talk about it.
It hurt me a little bit, but as far as Micah goes, I'm just glad to have him here just to kind of calm some of the waters, because I just think some of the conversation is getting real out of hand.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny? The guys in there do not care what the conversation is. So it's just like all outside noise, which I have to even remind myself of that. But talking to Micah again was so great, because it was just
he's so entertaining.
He really is. But the thing about Micah is, I think unless you've had the chance to actually sit and talk to him, there's such a different persona of who he actually is on the outside. Like, just what I've seen on Twitter is like, oh, he's not a leader. Oh, this and that. Oh, Micah, like, go sit and talk to him for 5 minutes, and it's just such a different guy than you think. Like, Micah is just the most chill, non-bothered guy. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, he's so unbothered.
That's a good way to
talk to him for a little bit personally before, like, the scrum came in and kind of, you know, vultured around him for 20 minutes. But ultimately, I am glad he's back. It's obviously an additive anytime you have Micah Parsons in here. What I do want to see more of is kind of, you know, between now and training camp, how much more conversations him and Zim have together. I will be honest, the only thing I didn't really like that he said is how little they have actually talked. And it kind of seems like since Dan left, Micah's veering a little more towards talking to Mike McCarthy than Zimmer. And I don't necessarily think that's any like weird bad blood or anything like that. I just think Micah's more comfortable talking to Mike right now, but I do like Micah's openness. I was a little worried seeing that he's such a Dan Quinn guy. I like Micah's openness to working with Zim. I just don't like how little that they have talked thus far.
Yeah, I was going to ask how detrimental is that, considering the fact that you are having to learn a whole new system this year under Mike Zimmer?
I think part of that is them not talking is because he just hasn't been
busy.
Because even talking to DeMarcus Lawrence and some of those guys during like the beginning of OTAs last week, some of the players expressed they hadn't talked to Zim a whole bunch. And you know, you're also doing a lot of individual work. Zim is also trying to get here and get comfortable and get his family settled and things of that nature as well. So I just think there's some other factors that play into that. I will say it is kind of like, okay, well, when y'all gonna talk?
Right.
Like,
right.
If somebody need to talk about something.
Yeah.
But I do think that Micah you can't do the things that Micah does as far as moving all the way across the line and dropping into coverage sometimes and not be up here smart, right? And so I do think that some of that is like I'm sure he has confidence that he's going to be able to pick it up quickly. And also, too, he's been with Anthony Barr and some of those guys that have kind of talked to him on how Zim's system is. He has Kendricks at his disposal as well, because he might just be talking to Kendricks,
right?
And I understand like Micah's still listed as a linebacker, but the way that Zim uses his linebacker, well, his edges, sometimes they do things as linebackers and kind of alternate. So I will say, I wasn't a big fan of that part either. I do think that Zim's never had a Micah before and things like that. I think that was a little taken out of context, because when you actually watch the interview, he's very
body language matters
and joking. Like he's again, like Jess said, a fantastic point by her. And unless you have had the opportunity to really get a feel for Micah. This is going to be the story of his career. This is going to be the story of his career. You know, that people take some of the things he say and they don't know him the way that we kind of know him.
What I also think could be going on too, in terms of him not having like a long conversation with Zim, is Zim's delegating every position coach to their respective rooms.
Which he does.
Which he does do, and that's kind of Mike McCarthy's head coaching style in general, is like, hey, this is going to be your job. I'm not going to overstep. Like, that's your job. This is your job, or whatever. So it seems like Zim has faith in his position coaches enough that's like, hey, these are your guys to work with, right?
It's
so
right.
It's Jeff Zanina and Greg Ellis, which we call
Call him Kronk.
Oh my gosh.
Kronk from the group.
I meant to tell him that yesterday. So when I saw him walking off practice, I didn't have it in me. I was like, Aisha's not here.
Coach Zanina.
I'm dead.
Coach Zanina.
My cream puffs. My spinach puffs.
The poison. Let's go. No? All right.
Oh, man.
Watch Emperor's New Groove.
Probably like
It's
when I was in
hilarious.
eighth
You're
grade.
slipping. It's so much
Go
better
watch
as an
it.
adult.
It's so funny.
A lot of the humor,
Yes.
you will. Some of that stuff we maybe shouldn't be watching.
Right.
Y'all are sick.
But I do
I'm
think
sick.
back to I do
My
think
bad.
no, you're good. But you knew who I was talking about. I do think Zim is designating his position coaches to actually do their jobs, which is work with their position group. So I think if anybody's getting quality time with every player, not just Micah, it's going to be their position coaches. In this case, it's Jeff Zanina and Greg Ellis.
I want to ruffle some feathers a little bit, because there was a point brought on the break yesterday from Brian Broaddus, and he mentioned how he feels that Micah Parsons' absence, with OTAs and mandatory minicamp, is kind of like a classroom setting, you know? And he said that he feels as if maybe Micah's not a classroom guy. He's just a guy that wants to play football, and that's it. Do y'all agree with that?
Okay, so going back to being in school, like you had your visual learners and then you had like your mental learners, right? I think for Micah, he learns best when he's doing. Like he's out, boxing or wrestling or sumo wrestling, which we were not fans of, but he's exploring different avenues, and this isn't anything new to this offseason. Last year he worked with offensive linemen to be able to get in their mind. So I think for Micah, he learns best when he's challenging himself to be able to learn in different ways and train his body in different ways, not so much sitting there like taking notes. And maybe that's not the best attribute for a football player, but if he's being productive, he's working, he's getting better, and he's taking care of his body, more importantly, look, I'm not his coach to say. I just think Micah learns differently, and when you have a competitor like him, he's not going to sit there and be challenged in the same way as somebody who's just not as competitive as him.
That's a fantastic point. I again, going back to scouting school and being in the room with some of these guys, some of the things that, Jim was talking to us is just a different variation of players. There are some players that can roll out of bed and still be great. Yeah. There are some players who literally don't have to, they feel maybe they don't have to be so deep in the playbook because they just, they just get it, And one thing I will say about Micah is that he is so specially gifted that I do understand that it might be difficult for him to do some of this stuff because it might feel redundant. Yeah. And I'm not justifying it, but I understand that an athlete like him and some of the greats that we've seen, they have to go to a different mental place to actually even have the desire to want to get better. Because the reality is, if Micah literally decided what I've done in my career, what I can go out there and do on the field right now is going to continue to get me 10 plus sacks. He could do that.
Yeah.
He has that ability to just not to stay stagnant in a way and just to be like content with his ability. So for someone like him going away and stuff, I think that's him actively trying to push himself to continue to not. I hope this is the right word. This is not his words, it's mine. To not get bored and to not get. We watch him at training camp ruin practices for all intent purposes.
And made it look easy.
There's times he wasn't here last year, and we watch him, just come in and wreck shop. After not being at OTAs and stuff last year. And so I think that he also has I think people have to understand too, he's unique. He's unique mentally and things like that. I'm not saying that I'm a fan. I'm sure some coaches don't like. I know coaches don't like guys that are not practice playbook guys and things like that. But there are some guys that just got it like that. And you got to just tip your hat to them and know they're going to come in here and do the work and make a difference on your team.
Yeah.
Well,
right?
And it's funny.
What you got?
I saw on Twitter, Jay Tuck shout out to Jay Tuck, our guy Jay Tuck, love him. He posted side-by-side headlines of Micah missing OTAs last year, Micah exploring new avenues and learning to get better. And then this year it's Micah not at OTAs. Should the team trade him? Guys,
I'm screaming.
It's just it depends on the mood of the team. And honestly, I still think a lot of this hate narrative is coming from the loss. I mean, truly, it's coming from the Green Bay loss.
People feel like these
pissed.
players should be just engulfed in basketball. Oh, Lord. I'm thinking about the finals, Lord.
Well, I was going to say, you're getting ready for the Mavs game later.
Just engulfed in football. Just the outrage even so when we see them going on vacations or doing things that are fun or being on podcasts. People are like, they should be focused on football.
Yeah.
Dog, you want a vacation too. You want to take your PTO too. And if they don't give it to you, you might still go.
Yeah.
So what y'all talking about?
Facts.
Hello.
That's when you're I'm sick.
You're going to jail. What you got, babe?
No, I mean, I kind of hear me out.
I hear you. I want to hear you out.
I think that it kind of goes back to the being present, right?
Yes.
I think that you want a guy like that to be present.
I agree.
In every aspect, because you have such this natural ability, right? And this intelligence to the game that you feel could translate to the younger guys, right? So you want that in the room all the time, but I'm also on the fence because it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? If his off-season training, because I believe he said that he goes until May, almost June, until he finally gets back on the field. And he's it works for me. It works for me. So I feel if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I can kind of agree with both sides.
Speaking of being broke, do you want his body to be healed in time so he can get you 10 sacks in a season?
Yeah.
At some point, he has to have downtime to heal and rehab. And I think as he's getting older, he's learning that his rehab schedule is going to differ because, he gets banged up throughout the season. Yeah. And he even said, I'm trying to learn different ways to extend my body so I'm not, that banged up come playoffs or postseason.
Yeah, because he slows down. He's slowed down.
He does.
And he's aware of that. The times I've talked to him, he's aware of that. And a lot of what he is doing is conditioning and ways and preparing his body that maybe he can't do here. Maybe he can't do here. But I think you make a fantastic point as well, Nicole. It's a double-edged sword. It's we see you, we see your intent as a player and what you're doing. However, your leadership, your voice, your insight, your fire, not being here is something that, could affect these younger guys. And so I do see both sides of it. I just think at this point,
also,
we gotta know Micah's gonna be Micah. This is him.
This whole narrative of him being a leader or not, guarantee you, if the Cowboys go to the Super Bowl, nobody's gonna be talking about whether Micah Parsons was a leader or not. So,
well, it's just so funny to me.
I need them to get there.
The funniest part
but what I'm saying is, if they're successful, who's gonna be saying that?
Who cares?
Who's gonna be saying that?
I just want to say also too, in respect to the film thing, and maybe he's not a classroom guy.
Yeah.
Honey, You know how many guys ain't a classroom guy?
Yeah.
Do you know? Hey, how about this? Your quarterback literally was in interviews yesterday saying his focus is getting better in practice because that was a knock on him.
Yeah.
His first few years was the fact that he would be a little lackadaisical in practice. You could tell he wasn't going 110%. You could tell he wasn't. And your quarterback has had to improve on that to become more engaged in practices and be sharper in practices. Everybody don't work like that. You should go down the locker room.
You mean they're humans and they have different work ethics and work skills and things that work for them?
Let's translate it to the real world. I know some of y'all don't be doing all the work.
Talk about
but
it.
some of y'all
But you
still
show up. But you show up. Turn on that camera on Sunday post game and talk about it like you did the prep before.
Let's talk about it.
See,
I think we did it up today. I think we.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Also, when y'all go to work every day and don't miss a day, and you're there every day focusing, even when you're at home trying to spend time with your family and kids, just on your job, okay, then you can talk to them about it. Over it.
Well, ladies, this has been great. I know the players are going to enjoy these next, few weeks, month and a half until training camp.
Yeah.
We're hoping, praying, everybody stays safe. We've been pretty good.
Yes.
With Mike McCarthy has done a great job. I do think that the overall, we would go into off seasons maybe 5-6 years ago holding our breath. I know you haven't been around, but I'm telling you.
What do you say, fasting and praying?
Fasting and praying. On bended knee. You understand?
No, literally. Going into training camp, you were
worried about
someone
getting into trouble, something happening. But since Mike McCarthy's been here, I do feel as though things have been a lot more calmer during the offseason. You're not on pins and needles scrolling Twitter like, who done did it?
Yeah. Wait, you mean they respect their head coach and they enjoy working under Mike McCarthy?
I'm not sick of y'all. I'm sick
crazy.
of y'all.
That's not what Twitter said, guys.
Y'all snappy today.
That's not what Twitter said.
Y'all been snappy today.
This is our
we had to
last
hold
show.
it in for a week.
Oh, go ahead, baby.
No, ladies, I was about to wrap it up. This is our last show until training camp. Hopefully, Cowboys Nation. I know they have like a fans portion or fan day or something in Oxnard, California. So hopefully we see y'all there. But that's a wrap until training camp. Cowboys Nation.
Wow.
See y'all July 22nd.
Miss y'all. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?